tiebreaker is net run, right?
Points first and then net run rate.
Right, but tiebreaker is even equal, right?
Yeah, man. Amanda asked me, Ryan, so we could play cricket for the
We could play cricket for Friday.
Oh, we could play cricket for the Friday. I said every other sport is played for the Friday though. Horrific games is still the can left on Friday. What happened? We still freaking religious. We can't do that.
Nah, that's one past every since. That used to happen a long time ago. Why are you saying here, Kim, when I just got 3 games?
Because they kind of sharp there.
Alright, no problem. That ain't important.
Not important.
And the other thing I observe is that everybody ain't play everybody.
It's only
It's only the
6
time.
days of cricket.
I
Right,
realize
the 8 teams are the worst.
8 teams divided in 2. Every time it's 8 teams, I divide it in 2.
No, but then you only playing 3 games.
Then you will play a position game. You play.
3 games is not enough.
Yeah, you can play. You can play 4 teams in a zone.
And then crossover?
Across. No, 2-2. And then the first 4 will go into the semi-finals for the cup, and then there will be a plate from 5 to 8.
That's it depends on how much teams.
Right, you will play a plate from 5 to 8, and you see a knockout basis.
I understand you saying. That's the next year.
Are you open for consultancy, okay?
What you cover? Your foot pay though?
No. You have a consultant? Consultants, I money.
This tournament every year?
Yeah, we only missed 3 years because of COVID.
So what's happening? No reason to make it regular yet.
All of these 16, 19 come back. I said, who?
What am I at? The real all going right? Not the banks. They want to be overseas on players.
You only know their delivery had overseas return.
For next thing delivery.
But what the BCUA can do, because this situation here with trade, they're reaching out to us. And still they want to send 2 umpires to get more practice or whatever. So I spoke with Angela, he said he had no problem with that. But then apparently one of the umpires, all he takes get to hold my head so he can come. The whole thing was not, it wasn't done properly, and the person he should have gone through, and the thing, I mean, the same boy that we live with then, no Gregory, sit down and we live with him a couple of days before, and they tell Gregory nothing. But that's no problem. Just let Andrew reach out to, or whoever reach out to, wherever, oh, they know it's being played, reach out to them and see that, you know, set it up fair. But it knows it's at one expense. The only thing that they in his country would do is shutter you all up and down. But once it's properly done, properly, there shouldn't be an issue.
Not even
No, they're not preventing nothing like that. They'll reach out to us. If it was a commission, we'd stay in the village. Like everybody else. They're not wrong with that. Where they are staying, they're not wrong with they're at the hotel. They ain't gonna do nothing.
that would not be benefit. That would not be profitable to me.
But you could, no, but there's a discussion. No, remember, so that's what happened here. But there's a discussion between association and the host country that is the host Pers Association down there, they got nothing to do with us.
Yes. When the one don't have a clip, that's when they stay here. Huh?
You got to get one of them things.
Boy,
I like the idea, to be honest, that you have a pair from another cousin. I like that idea, but that is saying that we need to go through associations so it's properly done. It can't be an issue.
Oh.
Gentlemen and ladies, when I receive the stream, I will send it out to everybody, okay? Thank you. Happy birthday. Stop asking me for a live stream. Sure. They want that extra word. That's extra word. Morning. Yeah, man, and you don't bring breakfast to me?
bring breakfast for myself. Nah, you come and smell that veggies, boy.
That Sean Scan things in here. Huh? That Sean Scan things in here. Supposed to come up from my boss, huh?
We do know. So when I do call me saying that I do. We do.
He sent it to me already. He scanned it from my phone.
Huh? Baby tell me we should have, you will have one. But no, she checked for me. She count them for me.
But I ain't seeing it
She
from my
told me she had,
WhatsApp.
I think, 20 something.
Yesterday when he did that, I
She
saw it
sent
on
6
my
to me.
WhatsApp.
But it will, we should have enough push one to shove when we get to them tomorrow. Because I still can't get into it tomorrow. I would double check, but we will have enough. Because once one get lost, I can't take no more. All she they give Sanshia has played with born. However,
Yeah?
I'm not going. I have 6 and 4 is 10 to this girl. So if I will check tomorrow when I get to Wendy. Yeah, I have 2 boxes of balls. Sanshia should have some.
Uh-huh. You too? You too?
Put it down there. The 3 that's 6 yesterday.
This?
Something like that. I just want some cheers.
sure? They're gonna be ready?
Who, where, who?
Out front. Sure.
I have no idea. No idea.
On the way. On the way.
Day before you to send me a live stream link.
Technology do a lot of things here. You can imagine. I get to like this before, yeah? Technology really is wonderful. I should have tell you. I should have given you credit. I know, man. I don't want you to have the credit, no, man.
Say this here to keep his government the Saints, you know, because keep is still telling me what everything.
Yeah, keep his one link to watch, not a game.
Oh shit, I left my hat in the bar in the car. That's it.
A good Friday morning and welcome to another day of cricketing action here at Lears in the Regional Police Cricket Tournament. A good Friday morning to everyone and welcome to another day of cricketing action here at Lears. It is the Regional Police Cricket Tournament and we're getting down to the final stages of the round robin section of it. This morning it's the turn of Trinidad and Tobago. They're taking on the British Virgin Islands and it's certainly setting up to be another day, a double header of wonderful cricket action. Winning the toss, Trinidad and Tobago, they've opted to bat first this morning. Opening the batting for them, Brandon Ramdale and Nicholas Jagmohan. And for the British Virgin Islands, getting them kicked off from this pavilion end, it will be Imran Smith. An easy single to get things started for Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Joel Manning, alongside of me is Wayne Holder, and we're going to take you through the action this morning, Wayne. Certainly a breezy, wonderful day here at Lears.
Well, I am sure that the viewers and those hearing us will be hearing the wind blowing through our microphones. Another breezy morning, no bright sunshine at the moment, but cool conditions, and all set for a wonderful day of cricket, as you mentioned. The doubleheader here at Lears today, and the competition has reached a stage where basically we know who the four teams going into the semi-finals are. What we don't know is the final standings at the end of the preliminaries, which will determine the matchups for those semifinals. But we're going to find all of that out today.
Well,
So,
certainly everything gearing up for that semi-final that you talked about going down tomorrow, Saturday, to Weymouth.
Which is the headquarters for cricket among the police sports club. That is their headquarters, and obviously will be the venue for the culmination of the tournament over this Easter weekend. Trinidad and Tobago winning the toss and electing to bat.
It's interesting, but several teams that have won the toss across this competition, whether not playing at Weymouth or here at Lears, have opted to bowl first. Trinidad and Tobago opting to bat first, and I heard whispers of the fact that looking to get themselves in stride, give their batters a chance to put a good total on the board in preparation for the semi-final tomorrow. As you mentioned, not sure who they're going to play, but whomever it is, they want to ensure that they're ready for that semi-final. It's going to be a big showdown tomorrow to Weymouth.
Well, yes, it will be.
Pretty comfortable win yesterday for Trinidad and Tobago versus Cayman Islands.
Made very light work of the Cayman Islands, the TNT. And judging from the form that we have seen in the competition so far, similar is expected in this game against the winless BVI.
That one's gone with the wind, and that's going to be the first maximum of this innings.
Well, you're talking movies, Joel, when you talk of Gone with the Wind, but yes, hitting to the side, helped by the breeze, anything hit to the western side of the ground, and a short, innocuous delivery from Smith, and the right-handed batsman just helping himself to a maximum, so we got the first boundary of the morning's play.
You certainly want to keep that ball a bit fuller this morning. When we think about the dimension of this ground, this usually towards the leg side for the right-handed batters, the shorter end, and not just the shorter end, but the wind is extremely strong as well, as long as it gets up into the air, it certainly floats away, probably disturbing somebody that's having a bit of a rest on this Good Friday morning, a bank holiday here in Barbados and pretty much across the Caribbean.
Yeah, normally a very quiet day in Barbados, but because of this tournament, this neighborhood, the Lears, Bibby's Lane neighborhood, are going to actually encounter some activity, quite a lot of activity for the next 6-7 hours or so.
Pretty much, I can see somebody attempting to retrieve that ball, probably having to say hi, good morning. May come inside. Do you have any dogs around? That kind of a thing. And I guess that's really what you're accustomed to when you're playing cricket in the Caribbean.
Well, yes, and the bringing the games out into the community, bringing the game to the people, and generally the corporation is there. The people are glad to welcome the guests, especially those from overseas now. But this vicinity has been a cricket area for quite a few years, for decades now, I would have to say. And just waking up the sleepy Good Friday morning.
Waking it up, indeed. You might have to get another ball at some point.
If I may take this opportunity, Joel, to call up, see if I can run through the teams for today. The Trinidad and Tobago team with Justin Joseph, the captain. Then we have Brandon Ramdial and Imran Hussain. There is Nicholas Jugmahan, the wicketkeeper. James Wright, Mike Riley, Damian Brown, Lendl Simmons, the former West Indies opening bat, and Kyle Rupchand making up that 11 for Trinidad and Tobago. And I'll get the British Virgin Islands for you shortly. Jamal Mickle, Wayne Richards, Shem Stay, Imran Smith, Emery Hines, Kellyon London, Brad Remy, Chad Batson, who is a local, James Ramper, Chad is the 12th man, Neymar Bolden, who is coming back, and Jaden Leacock, who had a match in the very first encounter, but because of duty with the Barbados under 19 trials, have been unable to participate again. And Bisun Shilchan bringing up the 11 for the Royal British Virgin Islands Police Force team.
Well, the ball is back on the field. That means action is about to get underway once again. 9 without loss, Trinidad and Tobago at the moment. It's still the first over, the final delivery now. It closes out with a dot ball. So at the end of one, it's 9 without loss.
Well, yes, and the Trinidadians off to a brisk beginning. The bowler from the Smith from the BVI are guilty of bowling 1 too short and struck away for a maximum. But other than that, he has been fairly steady throughout that first over.
BVI, their final game in this tournament, gone winless, but still a couple positives for them across the matches that they've played. We look back to the one versus Grenada, and they managed to get themselves down to what would have been the final over of the game. At one stage you thought that they would have bowled out quite early, but building a partnership in the end and getting down to what would have been over number 20 in this match. Obviously the odds are stacked against them. You look at the experience in the side of Trinidad and Tobago. A couple of guys have gone on to play at what would have been the highest level, at least one of them in Lendl Simmons. The others certainly have the experience, and Trinidad is a rich cricketing nation and one with a lot of history behind it. So in terms of the odds, they're stacked against the British Virgin Islands, and you would tell yourself that they probably might not come out the victors here, but still can take some heart and some pride from a good performance here today, possibly being able to string together some good deliveries and really restrict Trinidad and Tobago quite early this morning.
Well, it's a learning experience for the players from the BVA, I would like to think. So they would have benefited somewhat from this experience, and they can only get better for it. The competition has been fairly tough. Unfortunately, each team not playing each other. I don't know if you recognize in the fixture that each team only played 5 matches, so you're not playing all the other 6 teams in the competition. And unfortunately, I think because a nice matchup would have been BVI versus Cayman, but we'll talk more about that.
Whipped away, and that too will find its way to the boundary. 1 bounce and 4.
Well, exploiting the wide open space over the infield. Remember, this is the power play. Only 2 players allowed outside of the restrictive circle. And the left-handed batter, that being Jug Mahan, hitting it high in the air. The ball traveling and dropping inside the boundary at a deep, straightish mid-wicket. Here we see it. But because no one in the area, a very safe shot. But guilty of bowling on the legs, Johan Leacock. A bit too straight on the pads of Jug Mahan, and it has prompted a change in the field, Joel.
Yes, indeed. So Jaden Leacock, he's going to get things going from the road end for them, and a change in field is mentioned by Wayne. The man drops back to what is a deep mid-wicket position. The man from fine leg was brought up. The other man outside of the circle is at 3rd man.
Jaden Leacock, Barbados under 19 player, one of the fine prospects as far as being fast bowling is concerned here in the island, and is also very useful as a batsman, somewhat of an all-round player, Jaden Leacock, and his presence, along with that of the wicketkeeper Neymar Bolden, who captained the Barbados under 19 team at the last regional competition. I think their inclusion should bolster the BVI. Still mainly a very young side, and don't get to play a very high level of cricket too often. But this could be a stepping stone for a few of these players. You've got young Amory Hines, in the 16-year-old Amory Hines in the 11. He's played all the matches, hasn't had by any stretch of the imagination, a successful stint, but I'm sure, again, a young man like him can only learn from this experience.
Oh, that's straight out of the top draw. That is fabulous.
Gone searching, Leacock coming a bit too far up to the right-handed Ramdial and easily stroking it back along the bowler. Not a very high back lift, just coming onto the front foot and stroking the delivery. No violence whatsoever in that shot. Fitting of a good Friday morning. Leacock pitching up on the off stump and the batter just easing onto the front foot and helping it back past the bowler, stroking it sweetly back past the bowler.
Ooh, that one bounces out to the surface. Definitely not what Leacock would have had in mind for that delivery. Signal to wide.
Well, obviously, it took a piece out of the pitch too, right in the middle of the strip though, so not a dangerous area by any chance, but out of the blue came that one. I think Leacock smarting from that straight drive, the previous delivery, going into the mud and literally finding some mud in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I think this is probably about the 7th game that's being played on this surface. Oh, beautiful. Brilliant adjustment in line after being too full. He's pulled that length back and he's seeing what he probably would want to see.
But that was a length delivery, you know. I want to almost call it the test length, you know. Looking to nick the batter off. Not pitched up close enough to the stumps that it can challenge the top of the off stump, which would be the ideal. But looking for that nick through to the keeper or into the slips.
The fast bowlers have certainly found success a lot here at this venue at Lairs. This is the 3rd day that I've been watching the cricket from Lairs, and more so from this pavilion end, you've seen the fast bowlers operating, but by and large, all who have bowled with a bit of pace behind them have found a measure of success on the surface.
It is the kind of pitch, it's an excellent cricket pitch, Joel. You know, batsmen will appreciate the fact that the ball comes onto the bat, you can trust the bounce. And the bowlers themselves are enjoying the same carry, and there's something there for them all throughout the match, throughout the game. So, as I said, an excellent cricket pitch makes for very, very good watching.
2 overs gone, 19 without loss.
Well, 19, and young Leacock having to do some correction. Searching to find, I guess, what is the length for this surface, you know. I have been told by the expert coaches, bowling coaches in particular, that every cricket pitch has its perfect length, and it is always within the ambit of the bowler to find out, to assess as early as possible what is the right length to bowl on each particular pitch. And I think that first over from Leacock would have given him an idea of where he wants to be for the rest of his spell.
Certainly giving him an idea, and I guess from looking at it over the days that we've been here, just back of a length is where they've truly found their success. 1, in terms of keeping it tight and building that pressure, and then 2, in terms of forcing what is possibly that false stroke. If batters trying to go on the up, the ball not being there, finding the edge more often than not, or coming off what will be top portion of the bat and offering simple catches to the likes of those at mid-off and what was a wideish cover we've seen throughout this time. Going to be Smith to continue. The keeper comes up to the stumps, and that probably presents a different challenge to the batter, having to be anchored in the crease. You know, occasionally a couple of them, especially to bowlers who it is deemed as medium pacers, like to just get a step or two outside of the crease.
Yes, especially most medium pace bowlers are looking for swing rather than seam movement, and if you can get closer to the pitch of the ball, you help to negate that swing and make it a lot easier for as a batter. So you want to get as close to the pitch of the ball as possible to, as I said, negotiate any swing that they may be on offer. It's interesting to find out if there really is a lot of swing in the air here.
We haven't seen much swing for the morning, but still early going. We're just into over number 3.
Well, there's always the breeze. I think that is going to have an effect no matter what. So the right-arm bowler from this northern end should find the ball drifting in towards the right-handed batter. I just want to say
Drops just short of mid-wicket. Short mid-wicket there. Probably thought for a moment that would have been the first wicket of the day.
Well, no, well, like you said, dropping definitely in front. Traveling in the air for a while. Young Hines did well though to stay with it, get behind it, took a knock on the body, but saved the run, or any other runs that were possible.
Good work skipping down the leg side by the keeper.
Yes, young Neymar Bolden now playing with the Wildy side. I guess this is some practice for him as the preparations for the regional under 19 competition have started here in Barbados. We had a couple of trial matches over the past week, and I think there's some another one coming next week.
I do think that a keeper coming up has kind of just caused things to settle down a bit for the BVI and really forcing Trinidad now to play from their crease and almost force it a little bit more.
And as a keeper coming up to the wicket, you also need the cooperation of the bowler because you want him to maintain that kind of length and line to not to make your job too difficult. You might not know, Joel, but I myself fancied myself as a bit of a keeper. In the time when I was playing the game, I've been in the gloves for quite a long part of my playing days. And you know, I've had some bowlers. I've actually had bowlers who've asked me to come to stand to the stumps because they tell me it gave them a better gauge of where they wanted to bowl, the line and the length they wanted to bowl. So different bowlers have different requirements.
Well, that is a chance, a sharp chance. It goes down and the batter's asking for a no ball on height, but I do think it was significantly lower than the waist on that occasion. He was looking to hit it somewhere, maybe towards, I don't know, St. George, St. Lucie, somewhere down behind us. Took the edge.
Here it is, full toss. Well, not an easy catch by any stretch of the imagination, Joel. The ball, a full pitch delivery, the batsman swinging towards the onside, the ball coming off the outside edge, and Batson at first did well, I think, to get his hands to it. The ball was traveling very quickly. It was going low. He had to get down to his left, and I think he saved 4 runs.
He certainly saved 4. They're the end of 3, 23 without loss.
Well, yes, and Trinidad will be happy with this beginning of stroke of luck, somewhat in that penultimate delivery of that just completed over from Smith, and this pair gradually getting into their work. And the BVI looking to break this partnership. They'll be looking to Leacock, who is actually will be seen as a strike bowler, looking to get wickets with the new ball in his early spell. And it's always good to get wickets in the power play for a fielding side, because the more wickets in hand once that power play finishes presents a cushion, a timely cushion for the batting side.
Once again by Leacock. He's really now gotten into a decent rhythm after going to full over pitching. He's learned his lesson and he's really getting into stride here.
And he's also around the wicket to the left-hander, so that ball going past the outside edge suggests to me that he's been able to get that ball to straighten from the angle of bowling around the wicket to the left-hander.
This time just too wide on that occasion, but you can almost see what he's attempting to do, because if he does get too straight, if he starts to get onto the leg stump, the wind factor playing into favor of Nicholas Jugmohan, so you can certainly clip it away. The ground has also been running quite nicely, so keeping that ball outside of the off stump in terms of the field he has set.
Risky single, I thought. The ball traveling straight to the fielder. Fortunately for the batters, the fielder not taking it cleanly there at square cover. But a good clean pickup could have found either one of the batsmen in some problems.
Yeah, the misfield was certainly, you can't really even call it much of a misfield, just a bit of a bubble out there, but from the moment it came back out of the hand, they instantly ran. And also, I guess, because the fielder was down on his knees, not really having a base from which he could actually throw instantly, as well as what allowed them to come through for that quick single. The right-handed Brandon Ramdayal on strike now. Height certainly in question there. But it's interesting to note that in the previous over, the man was sweeping on the cover boundary for the right-handed Ramdale. He came in, and it also speaks to the pressure that BVI are looking to apply. Obviously, Trinidad, yes, 26 without loss. You would tell yourself they haven't gotten off the flyer here.
No, but I was actually noticing that the two fielders outside the circle were the third man and the long on, which suggested to me that Leacock might wanted to be bowling a bit fuller and straighter. But there he was going into the pitch. And
we talked about what could happen if he gets a bit too straight onto the pads, not really paying on that occasion. Also, the field set quite well for that as well.
Well, fortunately for him, he's now got that man at that deep mid-wicket position. Previously, that would have easily run into the boundary. So we go back to the right-hander on strike. The long on goes back in place. The field on the offside, all inside the circle.
Well, that's a good-looking shot. He will have the legs to run away as well. So another boundary for Ramdayal.
Not very smart work, I must say, by Leacock, because as I explained, he's got some 6 fielders in the offside, and 4 men saving one from mid-off at a backward point. Only the 3 fielders on the onside, and there he goes with a short delivery, angling into the batsman. Easy pickings for Ramdayal. So as I said, not very clever work, not very clever, short delivery on the body. So the line is wrong, the length is wrong for the field that he has set.
Finds the edge, but does not find success. Instead, it's back-to-back boundaries.
Well, the ball falling, I believe, in front of the keeper, diving wide away to his right Bolden, and traveling between the keeper and the first slip down to the third man boundary for 4. So unfortunate for Leacock, a moral victory, but no cigar for him. He's had to concede 4 of that final delivery, but a better delivery this time around. A beautiful delivery, actually, one starting around middle stump and seaming away from the right-handed Ramdale, actually squaring the batsman up and getting that outside edge, but falling wide of the keeper, and I believe it fell in front of him too.
12 runs from that over. After 4, 35 without loss.
Well, the PVI still seeking that first wicket. There has been something there for the bowlers, though. We saw that ball that bounced disconcertingly from Leacock somewhat earlier, and we've also seen him able to get the ball to move off the straight once pitching. So there's something there for the seam bowlers once they can find that seam. And I think if anything, the bowlers from the BVI have been a bit inconsistent in their lengths and also their lines.
Yeah, certainly some deliveries have been exactly spot on in terms of what they're looking for this morning, but then just guilty of sliding into one bad ball, and Trinidad and Tobago have certainly capitalized on that. Is it going to be a change of bowling from the pavilion end? It's going to be Kelly on London. Still seen, keeper still stays up to the stump. We're still in the power play, a man out at cover on the boundary and a man at the long off, 2 men out for this over.
Muscular action, Kelly on London. Right arm ball, chest on action at delivery.
The pace factor, I do believe, would have tricked Jagmahan on that particular occasion. He got there before the ball was there. A little bit slower in pace is London. certainly strong here once again. There's the flags of Trinidad and Tobago and the flag of a BVI just fluttering in the wind at the bottom of our screen.
Lots of high cloud around. The sun beginning finally to force its way through. We haven't actually seen the direct sunlight since the start of play. But here we are witnessing now the sun beginning to emerge from behind those high clouds of which I spoke.
I think that's
Certainly peeping out in all of its glory. You certainly expect a wonderful double-header action here in the Regional Police Cricket Tournament.
Well, as I pointed out, Joel, the jostle is for positions within the first four to determine the semi-final matchups. And we've got some interesting calls.
Another misfield allows for a quick single. Good running from this player. We'd have to say the communication this morning from them has been fantastic.
Yeah, very sharp between the wicket, quite keen to get from one end to the next. The slightest bubble, and they have been exploiting any misses from the BVI. So yes, we have this match, Trinidad and Tobago versus the BVI. Trinidad and Tobago presently starting this morning in 4th place in the standings with 3 wins from 4 matches and 12 points. Three teams coming into the day's action on 12 points each. Grenada, Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. But Trinidad and Tobago having the poor net run rate, inferior net run rate to the other two. So that places them at number 4. The BVI are out of the running altogether.
Narrowly missing the stump there.
A victory for TNT would put them on to 16 points, and then it will be left to Grenada. Barbados completing their allotment already, so they are destined to stay on 12. A victory for Trinidad and Tobago will push them ahead of Barbados for sure, and Grenada also have a match coming up today at Woodburn at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And again,
yeah, certainly looking at that point standing, it probably might tell me why Trinidad and Tobago opted to bat first. And then looking at that net run rate, the end of over number 5 is 39 without loss.
Well, yes, and as we mentioned, Trinidad and Tobago looking to press that net run rate situation, because they can easily find themselves in a tie on points with Grenada should Grenada expectedly win against the Caymans this afternoon. So the battle really is for second place in the competition. I think the St. Vincent and the Grenadines team, who have been unbeaten so far in the tournament, should go ahead and defeat the Caymans and finish at the top of the standings for sure. And both Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago looking to get up to 16 points, which would mean, Joel, if it plays out the way we anticipate, that Barbados will be taking on St. Vincent and the Grenadines in one of the semi-finals. I'm not so well. I mean, you've got to beat every team if you want to win the competition, but I'm sure that the Barbadians would have preferred one of the other teams, other than the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who have been very, very impressive so far. So,
well, I guess some days they say the semi-final is harder than the final, and as such, if you face what should technically be the toughest opposition in the semi-final, you bring your best game, you defeat them, you then tell yourself that the final, in technicality and inverted commas, should be slightly easier, but all speculation at this point. What is for certain though is that there's a change at the road end. It's going to be Wayne Richards introduced into the attack, and possibly the first signs of spin this morning.
Every cricket game is a brand new cricket game, starts from scratch every single time. Nice breezy conditions, cool conditions.
That should travel the distance. The umpire stretches his arms. Yep, that's 6 more.
Well, just easing onto the front foot once again. Ram Dial gets from the off spinner one, floated upon the off stump, and quite gently. This guy Ram Dial, though, just concentrates on stroking the ball. Here he is, just easily into the shot and hitting it over the mid-off position, and the ball traveling all the way over the rope for the second 6-hit by Ramdial.
Opting now to go through and around the wicket is Richards. And I saw him do this in that match that they played yesterday. Worked for him a little bit. Just that change in angle, causing the batter probably just to open up their stance slightly. Good length.
Yes, pull his length back there well.
Brilliant work at mid-off, and a chance for a run out.
Nice work by young Hines there at mid-off, getting the ball bouncing high to his right and managing to get the right hander, pull it down, take it on the second attempt, and his shy at the stumps at the non-striker's end missing, with Ramdial looking to make his ground.
Still in the power play over. This is the final over of the power play. Trinidad and Tobago will be hoping to capitalize on the final 3 deliveries here. BVI, they'll be hoping to pick up their first wicket. A few clouds building down to the left of us. We had a couple of sprinkles yesterday, no real interruptions to the cricket zone. We certainly hope that holds true for today as well.
Bright sunshine at the moment, but yes, we do notice in the northeast some darkening of the skies.
And that will be the first wicket. Success for BVI, success for Wayne Richards.
Well, that move to come around the wicket, bowling between the umpire and the stumps, worked for him because he was able to bowl the ball a lot closer to Ramdial, cramping him for room. And this one, not quite to the pitch, look, going through with the drive and just offering a simple catch up to the fielder at mid-wicket, and just what they wanted. Here he is, the ball pitching around the leg stump, looking to whip it into the onside. Again, not to the pitch around the all, but still going through with a shot high to the right of the man coming around, and kept taking it in 2 hands. And some success, some joy finally for the BVI, getting rid of Ramdial, who had looked very dangerous. It's the right-handed Ramdial. Yeah, that was the one dismissed for 28.
So Ramdial goes for 28. It's 47 for 1.
They're caught by Stay there at mid-wicket. And look who's coming to the wicket, Joel.
Well, it's going to be Lendl Simmons that strides out to the crease. Quite an imposing figure if you think about the stats that he has in the shorter format of the game. Cricket plays on the day and not on paper.
Every innings is a brand new innings. Cricket delivery outside the off stump.
A successful over for BVI comes to an end. At the end of the power play, it's 47 for 1.
Well, yes, right on time, the BVI getting that wicket with 1 delivery left in the power play. And 47 for 1, things could have been a lot worse for them. I think they would be quite happy to have restricted the Trinidadians to just below 8 runs and over inside the power play. But with Lendl Simmons coming to the wicket now, this is going to make for a very interesting phase, the next one.
It certainly will be a very interesting phase at the end of the power play, which means that a maximum of 5 can be outside of the circle, and I do believe that BVI might exercise that option. There's a man at deep square leg, man at long on, long off, sweeping on the cover boundary. In fact, The square leg comes in and third man drops back to the boundary. You're gonna have to tell yourself that for the majority of these deliveries bowled by London, he's probably gonna be relatively full, maybe in and around that off stump.
Jug Mahan was the quiet partner in that opening stand with Ram Dial.
Certainly played his part in that partnership. We'd have to think that as we head into the second phase of this game, getting closer to those middle overs, fielders out, if BVI can string together some good deliveries, maybe apply a little pressure, don't allow Trinidad and Tobago to really get off towards that 10 over mark, they would certainly be happy. We look back at a couple of the games and the bowling certainly let them down because teams were able to pile on massive totals versus them. 300 with Grenada, 270 I believe with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So for them I think that a plus will be if they can restrict Trinidad and Tobago to anything less than maybe a 180.
Definitely.
Flies away past the outstretched hand and runs into the boundary.
Yes, again a delivery angling across the left-handed Jug Mahan and looking to force it away into the outside, coming off the outside edge. Again, traveling towards slip but going low to the left of the field. I think that's Batson once again. This time not managing to get a hand onto it. And the third man position vacant, the deep third man position vacant, or should I say deep third. Noticing nowadays the commentators are not using the man. I think it has something to do with the fact that the way cricket is going now, the fielder at third man doesn't necessarily have to be a man. So there's no third put in actually.
The possibility of a second wicket. It's taken on the second juggle. I guess poetic justice in the end.
Well, a good breakthrough here for the bowler, London, pitching this one on the legs again, keeping it close, and it seems that the line keeping close to the body of the batsman has been working for BVI, because there was Jug Mahan looking to turn a delivery into the onside. I think maybe closing the face of the bat, this is it, closing the face of the bat a bit too early, and that man there at the short backward square made something of a meal of what should actually have been a very simple catch, juggling it once, twice before holding on, and very happy to clutch onto it too. So both the Trinidad and Tobago openers gone, and I think a victory for young London picking up his first wicket.
Headline reads, London strikes in Barbados. Good work for the BVI. They've picked up their second wicket. Jug Mahan, he has to go for 17. It's a 51 for 2.
Well, they're back in it somewhat with two new batsmen at the crease. I did mention that it is always desirable to get a few wickets inside that power play, so as to stem the flow from the batting side, and they have delivered the two bowlers, Richards and London, for BVI.
You'd also have to think that the wind factor played in to the two wickets that fell, also hitting into that strong breeze, because I would have to think that had it been the opposite end, those balls might have just dropped over the head of the fielders. But as long as the ball goes into the air towards what will be the left of the screen at the moment, you just see the ball holding up and just blowing back and favouring the fielders. But at the end there, you must still take your catches, and the BVI, they've done just that, putting themselves in a good position at the moment. Brilliant work by London, and brilliant work by the keeper. We talked about the keeper coming up to the stump and presenting a different challenge, and since he's been up at the stump, it's been good stuff from BVI.
much softball or wind ball cricket you would have played in your time, Joel, but the wind was always a factor in the wind ball game because there was always a distinct advantage going to. So bowlers actually knew how to operate bowling from that southern end. You would always find the bowl that line that we seen Richards bowling and to force the batter to hit the ball into the wind. And likewise, the batsmen favoring the side going with the wind. So a bit of that coming into play here, I'm noticing. You must forgive me, Joel. I'm of a completely different vintage to you. And so you must bear with me. And they say old men look back. Young people look to the future. Old men look to the past. So just bear with me.
Well, the end of 7 is 53 for 2. Everyone, just humor me for a second. In my younger days, I too enjoyed a bit of the softball cricket, a couple tournaments that I would have played at YMPC as well. And I was always impressed with the skill of some of the older guys who were able to actually swing the ball, quote unquote, against the wind, and how the technique really came into play, and how you would see some standing on the boundary and waiting for the ball to blow back into the hand to take catches. It was there too that I was playing with Miguel Cummins, who went on to play for the West Indies, and it was actually through softball that he was discovered, because they realized this guy could bowl a wind ball fast, so maybe he could do it with a cricket ball as well.
Okay, well, yeah, that was very prevalent in my time. A lot of players came into to cricket via the softball cricket rope. Sometimes wonder what could have been if we had been able to maintain interest in that version of the game.
Softball cricket certainly developed a different type of skill set, a different type of patience as well in batters, and a situational understanding as well in terms of when to go, when not to, that kind of stuff. Well, it'll be Richards to continue. He's into his second over. This one skates along the surface. Good work. Long off. Can't prevent the second run. They'll certainly have to keep it tight to Lendl Simmons, because we do know how destructive he could be.
Yes. Strutted his stuff all over the world. There we see a bit of the action, what is possible from Lendl Simmons, coming onto the front foot and lifting this one.
Well, we saw him have a swing at the first delivery that he faced. Didn't make a connection. A couple balls later, he's gotten the maximum result for that one. We'd have to say that it was more so power in that one, dragging it from just around what would have been maybe off, just around outside off. Goes again. The result is the same.
The positioning is different. That the previous one went straight back over the head of the bowler. This one went wide of the long off fielder, skything away with that wind, Simmons, and the signs look ominous for the BVI bowlers. Richards bowling from that particular end. Again, he's around the wicket, but he's given Simmons some room outside that off stump, and you don't want to give him his hands. Those quick hands are coming into play, and just easily dispatching that ball over the long off, well away from the long off fielder, and into the roadway at the southern end of the ground. So as I said, ominous signs here as Lendl Simmons begins to wind up.
Yeah, he's certainly not going to want to toss too many to Lendl Simmons. Probably flatter through the air is the best chance he might have.
Still keeping his slip in place though, Richards.
Well, he went into the air again, and Simmons.
But actually, that one was actually a fuller delivery, looking almost being a Yorker, and Simmons allowing discretion to get the better of valor. Just respecting a good delivery, I guess it was the case. Now the slip comes away to short third man.
Make that a triple treat.
trimming some of the leaves of the mahogany trees at the southern end. That one went high, almost over the trees. Again, another one going straight down the ground, just the right length for Lendl Simmons. Just getting onto that front foot, waiting for the ball to come down, and just belting it straight back over the head of the bowler. Lendl Simmons again clearing that front leg and freeing his arms, and that ball going high back over the fielder there, looking up into the mahogany trees as that ball skies this way through.
Well, a quiet end to what has been an exciting over. 20 runs from it at the end of 8, 73 for 2.
Well, yes, I think Richard's learning his lesson, and a lot flatter and a bit faster. And Simmons not having that space to play with, either with his hands or with his hands that actually. And again, he has been rather discreet in his stroke play. He's either been blocked or 6 in that previous over. So respecting the good ones and getting rid of the anything offline.
As long as he's at the crease, I guarantee you it will be entertainment either way.
Rate of 9.13 runs per over. The Trinidadians and Tobagonians, I'm reminded, have managed to achieve.
London to continue. We're into the 9th over, and still employing that slip, still looking for the wicket-taking option, our BVI.
Kyle Ruchan, a tall right-hander, has been rather anonymous since coming to the wicket, with Lendl Simmons, the dominant partner. Ow!
And that is run out. Lendl Simmons has been run out. And it looked a little strange, that dismissal.
That is sad,
It's almost as if Simmons are recognizing that he would have been gone and giving up. And I thought it, as you said, rather strange because the throw was not the best. It actually was a very quick flat throw that pitched before getting to the keeper. And but Simmons actually realizing that he was that far out of his ground and that once the keeper took it, he would have been dismissed. But a fortuitous swing of events for the BVI, Joel, and you see this one played into the offside. The batsman Ruchan taking off for the single. It is Jaden Leacock there in the covers, picking up and quickly whipping his return into the keeper. A very good take by Bolden, I thought, too, because that was not the easiest of returns to take. But excellent work by the Barbadian pair of youth players and getting rid of the very dangerous Lendl Simmons. And the sun shining surely on the BVI.
It's certainly shining on them in all of its glory. That one coming against the run of play, you would have to say. I did think that the ball was struck quite firmly to the man at cover, so it would have always been a tight single. And well, in the end, it's success for the BVI and the wicket that they certainly would have wanted here today.
The Trinidadians have been pushing and running, but then they didn't bargain that Jaden Leacock would have been the fielder there at cover. I think maybe to most of the other fielders for the BVI, that might very well have been a single, but not to Leacock, who was quickly swooping in, and a very powerful return, just whipping it underarm into the keeper. And again, I must commend the work of young Bolden, though, on that, with that one.
It's Imran Hussain, who's now joined Ruchan at the crease. Once again, a little bit of indecision and decisive nature, mix up in communication.
So a bit of buoyancy also in the BVI fielders. You can see they're on their toes, cock-a-hoop. You know that they're really inspired with that, with getting rid by getting rid of Lendl Simmons.
It's the last game for them. They've not won any so far in this tournament. We do have to tell yourself that there's simply nothing to lose here today and everything to play for. Nobody expects them to come out on the W side of this encounter, but cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties.
Could very well represent a banana peel for the Trinidadians. And all of a sudden, the game has taken on a new perspective. We see some, as you keep mentioning, Joel, stringing some dot balls together, looking to apply some pressure.
Just the one run in this over so far from London. He's bowled well since he's come on. He's into his third. Spoils it there with the wide.
London has been one of the standout players, I would have to say, for the BVI. He did catch my eye the couple of games that I saw them play. One of the better players in this side, particularly with his bowling.
A quiet over, but a successful one for BVI comes to an end. 9 gone, it's 76 for 3.
Oh, yes, good work there by Killian London, capitalizing on having gotten rid of Lendl Simmons in the previous over. Another new batter coming to the wicket. Ruchan hasn't really found his groove as such as yet. Still looking to come to terms with the conditions and with the bowling. So this is a perfect opportunity for the BVI to look to apply some pressure and restrict the Trinidadians in this middle overs passage. A bit of a rebuild is necessary, so we're going to expect to see a bit of consolidation. So they've given themselves a bit of a reprieve.
Going to be Richards to continue. You probably would expect that, given that Lendl Simmons is back in the hut.
Deep mid-wicket in place up there on that far side. Very key fielder, I think.
Most batters that have gone to that far side have struggled to clear the boundary. We talk about the fact that that wind factor, that fan almost that takes the ball and blows it back into the ground has worked against many batters going towards that end. Looking to build a partnership here, Trinidad and Tobago, looking to set up a platform from which they can launch down in what we would call the business end of this match. Goes into the fan, and he perishes. 4 down now, and Trinidad and Tobago in a spot of bother.
Call it premonition, whatever you may call it. But I did tell you that that fielder at deep mid-wicket was always going to be very, very a key in this phase of play because Richards operating on that mainly leg stump line, forcing the batsman to play into the onside. And there was Ruchan falling into the trap, hitting it high into the air, the wind holding it up and allowing Leacock enough time to come around, wait for the ball to fall into his hands. And another dismissal taken by that strong breeze, the fan as we call it, on the eastern side here at Lears. Ruchan perishes 77 for 4, and a very, very good spell here for the BVI, as we are going to have take the opportunity now to take the refreshment break as we're into the 10th over. 77 for 4 represents a very good performance by the BVI in this their final outing, and the Trinidad and Tobago side will be wary that they still need to look for the victory in this match and look to put a total on the board. The BVI not really threatening with their batting, but again, this is cricket, and it is never over until it's over.
It's certainly never over, and a lot of cricket still to play in this contest. Not necessarily where Trinidad and Tobago would have hoped to be after winning the toss and taking that positive decision of batting first, but it's been fantastic cricket from BVI. They started probably not in the fashion that they wanted to. Things looked very easy for Trinidad and Tobago, but ever since the first wicket, they've really pulled it back. They've bowled well, and Trinidad have lost wickets at 47 for 1, 51 for 2, 73 for 2, and now 77 for 4. So you would lose them, or rather, you would say that they've lost them at what you call the regular intervals. And BVI certainly would be the happier of the two sides at the moment as we head in now to the back end of the overs. Trinidad not necessarily having the base that they've wanted. You might say, well, you're going to start to favour BVI in terms of the ability to restrict Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, there's still some time, so if they can form a partnership, not lose another wicket probably until over number 15, rotate the strike well, get to maybe about 120, 130 at 15, then they can say, well, we can launch with 6 wickets still in the bag. But if BVI are able to keep that pressure on, maybe pick 1 or 2 more before we get to over number 15, then instead of maybe chasing 200, they're now looking at maybe a 140 or 150.
Well, just quickly look at some of the, to bring our viewers and those joining us late up to date, to look at some of the numbers on the scorecard. We can tell you that Trinidad and Tobago won the toss and they elected to bat. They started with Nicholas Jugmahan and Brandon Ramdial, and these two went along quite steadily to adding some 47 for that first wicket, and then Ramdial went for 28. Jugmahan went on to make 17, just 28 from 22 balls, 3 4s and 2 6s for Ramdial. Jugmahan the 2 4s. Then Lendl Simmons came to the crease and he threatened to run riot, but he ran. I almost say ran himself out, but he was run out for 21, quite fortuitously for the BVI. And then we just saw Kyle Ruchan going caught for 1. At the moment, Imran Hussain is there on 2, and he will be joined by Darius Besai when the game resumes. And quickly, some bowling figures for the BVI. Imran Smith, 2 overs for 11. Jaden Leacock, 2 overs for 21. Kelly on London, who has impressed, has been the best of the bowlers so far, 3 overs, 1 for 13. And Wayne Richards has picked up the 2 wickets for 29 from 2 overs and 2 balls, 77 for 4.
The wind's still blowing here at Layers. It is blowing in the favour of the BVI at the moment. Darius Basai, he's the new batter to the crease for Trinidad and Tobago. And he's bowled him. Richards strikes again.
It's all BVI here at Layers. There they go in a huddle congratulating each other, because they have certainly surprised all of us here, and I dare say may even be surprising themselves. Richards, right arm around the wicket, the delivery pitching just around the middle and off. Someone slided, the batter choosing to go onto the back foot, and that one sliding through off the pitch. I think beaten for pace somewhat, and beaten because he misread the length of that delivery and had the ball taking the top of the middle and off stumps. And now BVI deep into the batting of the Trinidad and Tobago side, who would have come here very much overwhelming favourites. They still may very well be the overwhelming favourites, but BVI having their best day of the tournament, or their best session of the tournament so far.
Certainly their best start, you could say. 77 for 5. You probably might think that in the moment Trinidad and Tobago are a little stunned with the scorecard at the moment, but kudos to the British Virgin Islands. They've done well. They've done what they've come all the way to Barbados to do, put on a good show and have fun. They're certainly smiling out there in the sun. I was going to say Sunday sun, but it's actually Friday sun.
Friday sun.
Getting ahead of myself.
Well, yes, it's looking like a Sunday. Everything indicates a Sunday, right? So easy like Sunday morning, but it is a Friday.
Bear with me for a second. I dare say it's a Good Friday for BVI.
Very well done. Very well said.
Well, the new batter is Kyle Jatan, and he has come to weather the storm. He'll be hoping that he can stay out there for Trinidad and Tobago. They're going to need him. They're going to need Imran Hussain as well. Nearly another one. The halfway stage of this innings. Looking a little shaky for Trinidad and Tobago. After 10, it's 79 for 5.
Well, 79 for 5 at the halfway stage. The Trinidadians losing their way somewhat after a quite brilliant start from the opening pair, particularly Ramdi Al-Brandon, Ramdi Al, and the BVI, once they broke that partnership, have been able to pick up wickets at regular intervals, not allowed for any the formation of any major partnerships ever since then. And I think that has been the key. The Trinidadians have not been able to build partnerships.
They certainly haven't. And London, he's going to complete his spell here. But that's the end of my stint for now. I'm going to make room now for Andrew Mason to join you.
Well, as London is getting this one appeal for leg before wicket. I think that one might very well have taken the bat before going on to the pad. The ball ending up along the ground into the first step area. But really, the BVI, this guy London though, I think he has been the catalyst. He has been the one to apply the most pressure. Richards has actually benefited from the pressure that London has been able to apply. Richards has been getting the wickets, but I think London has been the man, as we say. Good morning to Andrew Mason.
Good morning. I wonder if he got any bat into that, because if he didn't, it looked pretty plumb to me. Here we go, ball down the leg side. Keeper looks good as well. Wide call by the umpire. But this is a good performance from the BVI, Trinidad and Tobago. 77 for 5, losing Lendl Simmons. A major disappointment for those who would have turned out. He played 1 or 2 lovely shots and then was run out. And that would have been a big disappointment for Trinidad and Tobago. But of course, it would have excited their taste buds in relation to the BVI.
BVI boosted the presence of, I think the Leacock and Bolden have made a somewhat of a significant difference to this BVI side in this game.
Yeah, you're right. 2 young cricketers. Of course, Bolden, the under-19 captain. And of course, Leacock would have played with him, both from Combermere. And I'll tell you, I understand they're good friends as well. It's good to see that in this tournament that there's an injection of young cricketers. I think that's a good move.
There's a story surrounding the young Hines, the 16-year-old playing for the BVI, Andrew. I don't know you're aware, he's actually Barbadian born.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Bred, he would have gone to school at the Eden Lodge Primary, Wilkie Cumberbatch and Combermere.
Yes,
he left Barbados. His mum, who is an attorney, is working in the BVI. So she's had to move her family over to the BVI. So he's now here going to school, as we described.
Yeah, that's turned away. London off target. That's going to go down to fine leg for 4. In fact, I met his grandmother. Yes, he's actually at the ground, and she was a bit disappointed when he got out. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, I think he played yesterday.
Yeah, yes, he got out.
They played yesterday morning.
But you know, she was telling me about the stories of taking him to Kensington Oval and all that. Wonderful lady. Grandma is here watching.
He's
Young
actually
Hines.
expressed an interest in coming back in the summer. Young Hines, there he is.
Yep.
He's actually expressed an interest in coming back in the summer to try out for the Barbados under 17
Oh,
team.
okay.
So his dad, Roger, a very good friend of mine out of my home area, the Spoonersville.
Okay.
I think he's related some to David Harris, our big
Okay, good old David. What's become of David Harris?
He is
Haven't seen him in a while.
still around,
Still around.
from what I've been told. I haven't seen him myself either.
Yeah. So
But yeah, so young Hines was involved at the age group level in Barbados before he actually had to move to the BVI.
yeah, he's got lots of support in Barbados. Instead, his family's here. And let's wish him well. This has been a good show by his side so far. London has bowled well generally. And Simmons making 21 from just 8 balls. Smith his 3 sixes, and people were just gathering to see him. But he got out, unfortunately run out. And Bolden was the fielder. I know that ball is picked up by the man we've been talking so much about, young Hines.
It's interesting to note that the Trinidad and Tobago, as I said, in 4th place. I think it would be fair to say that most teams would want to avoid St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yep. You're right. They look for the second here and should get it comfortably. The third man is rather wide, and now they'll get an overthrow. Oh, that's sloppy work on the part of BVI. No one at the stumps to stop it. It went down towards long on for an extra run. I don't like to see that.
It almost seems as if everyone went to sleep there. First of all, the ball down to third man. I didn't think that the fielder did an adequate job in attacking the ball, so allowing that second run. And then the wayward return left by the bowler and no one backing up in the outside. Like I said, rather sloppy work.
So this is London's last ball. And it's been a good spell from him. So he completes his allotment of 4 overs. And it represents a pretty good show from him. 4 for 23 is picked up a wicket. And at the end of over number 11, Trinidad and Tobago, they're 89 for 5.
Yes, London can be happy with his work. I think he can be proud of his work in this particular match, bowling his 4 overs on the trot, and leading the way for the BVI, keeping the Trinidadians. Busy medium pacer he is. Bowls generally a fullish length, I believe, looking to get the ball to angle or to shape in to the right-handed batsman from the off, and he kept good lines, good length, and he's showing the returns for it.
So it's going to be Wayne Richards to continue. Well, he's bowled well. He's picked up 3 of the wickets, and will be very happy to finish strongly. So we start over number 12 now.
2 relatively new batsmen at the crease, so that should give the BVI a bit of a breather before we get down to the death overs, looking to pick up another couple of wickets, one would imagine.
You're right. They've had a good time so far, getting rid, of course, of Simmons cheaply for 21. He just faced 8 balls, and well, he was run out. Strong breeze at Lears. The far side of the ground, the Trinidad and Tobago flag dancing rather merrily in the wind. It's very strong. I'm sure you can pick it up in the microphones. But we certainly welcome the breeze. It's been so hot. That's gone up towards the wide long on area. That was hit powerfully. Long on couldn't get across. That's gone for 4. It was in there for a long time, but a good firm hit from Hossein. And it's now 95 for 3. That was hit powerfully.
Well, yes, hit straight, or straightish, one would have to say, between that fielder at the short straight mid wicket and the long on. It's getting down on that one knee.
So Imran Hussain. So after getting a 4, just taps the ball gently to mimic it and picks up a single. Those singles are so important as well.
You see, deliberately targeting that leg stump, Richards, trying to force the batters to play the ball into the onside.
He's more well. He's gotten the wickets of Ramdial. He's gotten Upchan, and he's also gotten Besai as well. Looking for more.
And now the matchup is going to change here, Andrew, because we've got the left-handed batsman hitting to the favorable area.
And they've now put the wide long on in as well. That ball goes straight. Beautifully played. Wonderful shot. The placement was impeccable. Long on, couldn't get across at all. And the fielder, and that wicket there couldn't get across either. It was very well struck by Jatan. That's 4 important runs for him.
Fine timing.
Timing was good.
Is whipping it to the onside. Again, not any great backlift, just coming down on the ball and working it with the wrist perfectly into that gap you described.
Yeah, you're right. There we go. On the leg stump, meeting it full. And it went through where straight mid wicket would be. That's they feel that long on coming across to the left, couldn't stop it. That's going to be called a wide.
Yes, you call that overcompensating, Andrew, having bowled a bit too straight the previous delivery, looking deliberately to get it outside the off stump and getting it too far outside that off stump.
So they get another single. Maybe they feel that backward point is not tight enough. And in the end, they got the run.
The 100 comes up, Andrew.
Indeed, and it comes up in over number 12. A rate of 8.45, 78 deliveries, 8 fours and 5 sixes. So thanks to our wonderful scores for providing that kind of information. So Richards with his last ball. Well, certainly there was a big appeal for a catch at the wicket. Perhaps more optimism than anything else, but he ends with 3 for 42 from his 4, and at the end of 12, Trinidad and Tobago, they are 100 for the loss of 5.
Well, a good even session so far, but a good spell by Wayne Richards, ending quite well, beating the batsman outside the off stump. And although the Trinidadians have gone along at a fairly decent rate, I don't think they would have achieved their mission. They really wanted to boost their net run rate in this match because of the situation we described. They are the 4th place team because of net run rate, and as the teams jostle for these playoff positions.
Yep. Let me be the cat among the pigeons. Let's assume that BVI, they get up and win this.
Well, BVI Trinidad and Tobago will definitely be finishing in 4th place, and most likely coming up against SVG, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in the semi-final.
All right. I'll ask you about the St. Vincent and the Grenadines police force that people fear, having watched them. A single is pushed out towards that mid-off area for 1.
So here we have Young Hines now introduced into the attack. So he's been a jack of all trades. I've seen him with the wicket-keeper's gloves. He's done some wicket-keeping. He's done some bowling. He's opened the batting at some stage or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Murray Hines. Said he's from which area in Barbados again?
Well, that Whitehall
area.
Whitehall area where his dad is originally from. Whitehall, bordering on this Morrison Codrington Hill. As I said, Eden Lodge boy, Eden Lodge Primary. And a Combermerian actually.
Oh, wonderful.
He was at Combermere before.
So he spent what, just a year or 2 at Combermere?
I think we left from Combermere at about age 13 or so, yes.
Gone to the BVI with his mum, who's an attorney. Okay, fair enough. He may become an attorney too.
I can tell you, at the moment he wants to be a cricketer.
Okay. Well, let's wish him well, the young man. As he said, being watched by his grandmother. She came up to me yesterday and said, yes, had him in arms. She raised him, as you grandmothers always say. And she told me about taking him to cricket. And she couldn't miss coming here for the world. She wanted to see her grandson play, and she's here. And I'm sure she's quite happy. Started pretty well, actually. 3 balls he's bowled. In fact, make that 4 now. Just conceding 2. Would want to finish strongly.
Yes, stiffish looking medium pace. Last thing he told me before he left the ground yesterday is, are you going to be here tomorrow? I said, yes. He said, yeah, you'll probably get 100 then.
Okay, wonderful. Well, he certainly started very well. He's had, what, 5 balls and just 3 runs. We want to finish strongly. Sometimes that last ball can present problems to the bowler, as we've seen so many times in cricket. Let's see what he'll do with this last delivery. Is it going to be good? It's a wide.
There's also the challenge of the left-hander, right-hander to bowl to. Hussein, a much taller man with a much longer reach. So you've also got to bear all these factors in mind. And calls for a lot of awareness.
Also good partnership between these two. Some 27 runs.
Well bowled.
Well bowled. It was full and wide, and his first over just cost 4. So good for the young man from Combermere, Amari Hines. 13 gone. Trinidad and Tobago Police Force 104 for 5.
Well, the Trinidadians, I believe, consolidating somewhat. I think they would want to reserve or preserve the wickets for the death overs, which will come out after the 15th over. And they would want to finish strong. So believe this may very well be the all-rounders. Don't know a lot about this Trinidad police side, but I would imagine that number 6 and number 5 and number 7 would be somewhat of the last of the specialist batters. They probably be a couple of all-rounders there in the waiting. And they will be looking at, hopefully they will have the power players there at the end. Trinidad very prominent in this format of the game over the years. The foremost among...
That's his grandmother there. Yes. Yeah, so she came to see her grandson. She's watching. Good work by the cameraman to pick her up. Will they look for the second here? Chance for a run out. But he gets back. So it's Chad Batson is a bowler. Chad Batson is a YMPC man, I'm told. Well, of course, Joel Manners is a YMPC man. He says, I've never seen him yet, but he'll double check that. I'm told that he's a YMPC man, and Wayne Holder's a YMPC man too. So you guys at YMPC should know. That was very wide of the off stump.
Andrew, when I left YMPC, Chad Batson wasn't born.
I like that response. Chad Batson. How do you describe his bowling? Tell me what you think. Here we go.
Slow.
Slow.
I don't think any attempt to spin the ball. Just a slow medium drifter.
Well, 2 fielders came across just trying to stop it, but it actually went down to that backward square area and it's gone for 4. It was short, and it had a lot of power on it. Mid-wicket came across, backward square as well, they converged. But by the time they'd done that, the ball had gone to the boundary. So welcome boundary for Trinidad.
Just slow right arm, probably a bit of a variation in pace, and
Is he an off spinner?
I don't think the all spin thing comes in past the action. He has an all spinner's action, but
Yes.
I don't think no discernible attempt to actually spin the ball.
No.
Definitely.
In Bajan parlance, you say he bowls through a pipe.
Well, it reminds us of something of your man that you like to talk of
Maurice
so much.
Foster, good old Maurice Foster. When he told me that not turning the ball, he would always get Peter Lashley caught it slip. He always used to enjoy. He said Peter Lashley, as you know, was a big talker. And that's a drive down toward. Oh, it goes through the field at wide. Long off, that's gone for 4. Might have gotten a bad bounce there, but it was hit powerfully. That's very well played indeed.
Well, yes, the fielder actually had a look at the ground in front of him. The ball probably pitching into a crack and diverting at the very last moment and allowing the ball through to the boundary for 4. So as I said, this pair looking to consolidate and not playing risk-free cricket at the moment, this pair of batters, as they look to get down into the final phase of the innings.
Yeah, you're right. And in fact, they've added 38 important runs because when they came to the crease, it could have been a situation easily where Trinidad and Tobago police force could have been struggling by losing more wickets, but that has not been the case. And the rate is 8.21, so they've settled quite nicely. Hossein is 15 and Jatan is 22, so they could launch a final assault here towards the end of the back end of this innings, but we shall see. In the meantime, we're going to have young Hines continuing, Amari. First over just cost 4.
After this over, Andrew, I'm going to vacate my position and introduce a special guest.
Yep. It would be good to hear from him. The pride and joy of Layers, I'm told.
Cupid Cavaliers, the home side here.
Yeah.
Your good friend Ian Cupid Gill would have been actually a player for the Cavaliers back in earlier times.
So that's where the name came from?
Actually, as a sponsor of the team, remember he was the parliamentary, he would have run for the parliamentary representative in this particular area.
Okay.
Sometime back, you're a politics man.
Yeah, I am.
You will just go back into your archives.
So is this part of St. George South then? Is it? Oh, interesting. Well done. Good work indeed by the young man. Falling over in the process. That's what happens when you're young.
But that's youthful exuberance.
Indeed. Made a good start. So you're saying that this is a part of St. George South? Is this part of St. George South? Oh, St. Michael Northeast. So this is the constituency of the Prime Minister, Mia Moore.
Right.
Okay.
But bordering on that St. George South area.
Okay. And I'm bordering on St. Thomas as well. Yeah, you're right. So this is St. Michael Northeast. All right. Oh, St. George North. And not St. George South. I think Cooper would have run for St. George South, I would imagine. Yes, he did, yeah. When he was beaten badly. Yeah, I remember that. 2008. And Esteban Suku won comfortably. In fact, he didn't run in 2013. And the current MP took over. And what was dramatic about that, really, as this ball is outside the off stump, going by to be taken by the keeper, there was more than a 10% swing in that constituency. And Dwight Sutherland won and has held on quite comfortably ever since then. Hometown boy, I'm told. So that's why I know my politics, actually.
I know
in
you
fact,
would
he
go
had
into
to turn
your
around.
archives.
He actually had to turn around close to 1,000 votes.
I know you would go into
Am I
your
right?
archives.
Of course. Here's a little paddle. And not a run. Didn't do it very well. Jatan. Because he was also a former Minister of Sports as well for a short time. Current Minister of Sports is the gentleman who is the MP for St. John.
Man with a cricket name, a cricketer's name.
Yep, yeah. And it ends there. So here we go. Hines with his last ball. Can he be tight? He certainly is. Just a single. One would think. The return comes in. So this has been a very good start by Amari Hines. His 2 overs just cost him 7. And we've now completed 15. It's 118 for 5.
And Andrew, as at this point that I'll make my exit, I introduce to you Wayne Webster, as I like to call him, the chief mover and shaker here
In
at
that
Lears.
order? In that order?
Yeah, very much so.
Wayne
And-
Webster. But that name is
And I will.
Isn't there Pastor Wayne Webster as well? But he's not the pastor, is he?
No, but he's not the pastor. But he'll tell you a lot more about himself and about the history of this ground and everything that you may want to know.
Wonderful.
And so I hand over to him.
Oh. So the action continues. It's going to be Jatan and 24 to continue this good fight back by Trinidad and Tobago. Chad Batson, the YMPC man. Good work down at that position at mid-wicket. Somebody is saying it's actually, is it BT? Okay. So it's not YMPC, it's BT. For sure it's not Lears. Hello to you, Mr. Webster. How are you this morning?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you.
Right. Wayne Holden told me you got here as early as 4 o'clock this morning. Is that true? Or not quite? Oh, you left at 4.
Not quite true.
Not quite true. Here we go. Oh, it's going through. It's going for 4. Well, well, well. The ball went down towards the fielder at that long on area, and he could not stop it. That's gone for 4. And that's naughty, really. That should have been stopped. Welcome runs for Trinidad and Tobago Police Force. They go to 123 for 5. Using his feet, Hussein down the pitch. And coming across, straight through his legs. And that's gone away for 4. Well, we certainly want to compliment you on a wonderful job. You've produced a very good pitch. Mr. Newsom was telling me that he would like to take the pitch across the Caribbean. It's been very good. Good cricket pitch, and I'm sure you're happy here at Leys with this pitch.
That is quite true.
So just a single. As, not quite sure how to describe Batson's bowling. And it's actually a no ball he's bowled. Well, well, well. So free hit is an offer. Sure Trinidad and Tobago will want to capitalize here. A free hit. So mid-wicket push right back on the boundary. So just a run. They may look for the second, but won't come for it. So that free hit just produced, and another no ball. Now what is Batson doing wrong? Maybe he needs to go to YMPC instead of BT. Oh my golly, how would you be doing that, my friend? That's naughty.
BT no longer exists. So
I know.
That may be part of the problem.
Here's a big swing. Is that a no ball? It is not. So that's a newsflash, really. Yeah, see, you really got to get it right. Because those at BT would have gone to Gladiola, no?
That's correct.
Yeah, indeed. But I'm not quite sure what Batson is doing, though. Really, this looks very, very ordinary. Really, it looks like, you know, you're playing with your little son on a Sunday afternoon in the park. Really, but that was a poor delivery and punks down. That's gone through the wicket. That's gone for 4. Well, I don't think Batson may bowl again. He's been expensive. He's already conceded 25 from 1 over and 5 balls, and really seems to be a bit of a nothing bowler. Here we go. But he got away with a full toss. They look for the second run here, and it's very weak return coming in from the wicket, and they got a second run. So this has been very ordinary. Some 16 coming from the over. Matson has completed his second, now 2 for 27, and we've now completed over number 16, Trinidad and Tobago. They won 34 for 5. Cupid Cavaliers, Wayne Webster. How did you get the name?
I would have to ask this gentleman here to my left, actually.
Okay, all right.
Because it's my understanding that he's the founder of Cupid Cavaliers, Brantley Austin.
Brantley Austin. Okay, wonderful. How long have you been at the club now?
Oh,
Wayne?
from the inception in 1999.
Oh, 1999.
Yeah.
And I'm told that that you got the land from C.O. Williams. It was donated from C.O. Williams.
It was donated to the community in 1985.
1985. Okay.
By the late C.O. Williams, to the community, of course.
Wonderful. And they did apparently a lot of work here as well. Is that true?
Yes, in the initial stages, they laid the outfield into the pristine conditions that you're seeing it now.
One, will they come back for the second? They will. I think they recognize here Trinidad and Tobago that the BVI cricketers are really, you know, they're wilting in the in the sunshine here. And Brad, well, he really struggled to get the ball in, and they came back for the second. So this is the happy hour now. They can really launch a serious assault and maybe try to get to 180 here. We shall see. That's it powerfully. And it's gone through. That's gone for 4. Well, again, poor work by BVI. After such a good position, they're just beginning to let it slip here now. Wayne?
That is correct, actually. They're wilting under the late order pressure.
Okay, indeed. That ball was shortish and hit down to wide long on. Now, where's that fielder? And, oh, he got his hand to it and went behind him. Oh, you wouldn't want to see that in primetime sports, would he? A good comeback by Hines, all pitched up on the off stump. He's been very good, Amari Hines. As we said, been watched by his grandmother. We saw on screen a couple minutes ago. St. Michael man. Driven firmly down towards long on. Will there be a fumble? No. Just a single. So after conceding the boundaries, come back with 2 good deliveries, and we want to finish strongly here. Trinidad and Tobago Police Force with visions of making well in excess of 150. They're now 141 for 5. The look for second, I would imagine. The return is a good one! And he gets home Leacock. Well, he's a young man. I'm not quite sure they picked him up. Really, the return came in, but the batsman was also flying as well. Jatanen got back. Leacock was good in the outfield. That's what happens when you're young. And he fired the return. It was wide, but good running, good aggressive running by Jatan to get back for the second. Trying to paddle the ball away. Not quite the Dilscan scoop, but in the end it's a bye conceded. So another over comes to an end. Amari Hines has been tight. He's just conceded 16. So 17 overs gone. Now it's 144 for 5. So you said back in 1999 the club was formed?
Cupid Cavaliers was formed in 1999.
Right, okay. I see.
Played in the Barbados Cricket
Oh, started the BCL club. Okay.
for the next 18 years, actually.
Okay.
Always did well. During those 80 years, they probably won the competition 4 or 5 times. They were never below third
Oh, good. Wonderful.
in many competitions.
And then the transition to the BCA. How did that come about?
Well, we were applying for acceptance to the BCA for about 5 or 6 years.
Oh, before you
Yeah,
actually got
before
accepted.
We were actually accepted in 2019.
So how come that happened?
Well, I suspect that
They didn't see your application?
That they recognized over the years that Cupid became a force to be recognized.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
So-
Well, of course, there's a Cupid who's on the radio. He has any, but he's not on the radio anymore. Very popular on Voice of Barbados. He has anything to do with the club?
It is my understanding that there was some relationship
Okay.
in the initial stages, but I don't know the extent
Okay.
of the relationship.
Okay. So Cupid Cavaliers, interesting name. I saw you a couple of years, could be 2-3 years ago, play against my side, St. Catherine's, in the second division final at Queen's Park, and St. Catherine's had to hold on for dear life. I remember the last pair had to bat for about half an hour.
But that is correct. Actually,
I remember that game.
That's the first year that we entered the competition. And by virtue of the fact that you already had a team in the second division, in the intermediate, sorry, we did gain promotion to the intermediate.
Okay.
As a result of that.
So you play what? Second division and intermediate?
That is correct.
Okay. So if you win the intermediate, you then go to first division?
That is correct.
All right.
Which is our plan this
Your
year.
ambition?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Season starts on April the 15th. So Jaden Leacock is into the attack. Of course, he is well known, under 19 cricketer for Barbados. Lots of ability. Good all-round cricketer he is, and good to see him get an opportunity to display his skills. Young Bolden, Emma Bolden is in the side as well. With Captain Leacock at Commonmere and for the Barbados under 19. He's a bit of a pretty sharpish. They look for a second here and will not get it, but might have had it because the fielder down on the boundary fumbled, and they decide against coming back for that second. They might have had it comfortably. So how have practice sessions gone so far?
Well, we have had 3 or 4 practice games so far, and most of the guys seems to be there or thereabout in relation to fitness for the upcoming season.
Okay. Any well-known names